So what I want to talk about now is solving equations. An equation you can think of like a scale. A scale is balanced if you have the same amount of weight on the left side and the right side. And an equation is the same way. It's a scale that has to be balanced. So if I had something like 2 plus a number equals 6, the right side of this scale is 6, so you can think of it like 6 pounds. And I know I have 2 pounds over here plus another number. That other number has to be a number that makes this left side 6, so it would have to be 4, because 2 plus 4 is 6. So that's the only number that would fit. You could have something like 3 plus y equals 8. In this case, I know I have 3 pounds and some other object that weighs something, but I don't know what. And on the right side I have 8 pounds. Well, the left side has to be 8 pounds if the right side is 8 pounds. So you have to think of a number that y could be where this whole side would be 8. 3 plus a number. So 3 plus 5 would be 8, so y must be 5. Of course, when you're going through and solving equations, you normally don't solve them that way. So for an equation like this, you might have something like x plus 5 equals 11. Well, here I have 11 pounds on one side and some weight x plus 5 pounds on the left side. So my goal is to get x by itself. So on one side of the equation I want just x. So if I were to subtract 5 from the left side, and that would just give me just x on the left side. But it's a scale that has to be balanced. So if I take 5 pounds off of this side, I have to take 5 pounds off the other side so the scale is still balanced. Otherwise it ends up tilted like these scales over here. So I subtract 5 here and I end up with just x on one side, and on the other side 11 minus 5 is 6. You also might have an equation that's got a minus sign, like y minus 6 equals 8. Well, in this case I have y minus 6, so this is like I have 6 less than y. If I have 6 less than y, but I want to get to y, then I know I gotta add 6 to get to y. So if I add 6, then on this side I have y. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So I add 6 on the other side. So y equals 14. 8 plus 6 is 14. Now another type of equation you might have is if you had a multiplication like 3x equals 18. In this case you want to undo the multiplication. So this is 3 times x. If I divide by 3, then I end up canceling out that 3. So I can divide the other side by 3 and my answer would be 18 divided by 3 is 6. So x equals 6. Let's look at a couple that were on the review. So here are the review problems. I have 5 times y equals negative 25. For this one you'd have to know your rules about dividing and multiplying with a negative. So if I have 5y on this side, if I divide by 5, I end up with just y. If I do it to one side, I gotta do it to the other side. So I end up with y equals negative 25 over 5. So that's negative 25 divided by 5. But 5 goes into 25 5 times, so my answer is negative, since I have one negative and 5, since 5 goes into 25 5 times. Number 26, I have D minus 11 on this side. If I add 11, then I'll have just D. But if I do it to one side, I gotta do it to the other side. So I add 11 on the other side, and I end up with D equals 25. Number 27 is similar to number 25. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides, and I get T equals negative 6 over 2. So 2 goes into 6 3 times, so it's going to end up being negative 3. Look at number 28. On number 28, I'm going to divide by negative 14. It's important that I divide by negative 14, since that number is negative 14. I don't want to divide by 14, but negative 14. So what I end up with is B equals 12 over negative 14. At this point, you'd be okay to leave the problem like it is. But if you want to simplify, you could divide both the top number and the bottom number by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now I'm going to take this negative and put it at the top. So negative 6, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. So B equals 6 over 7. If you want to write it as a mixed number, or B equals negative 6 over 7, a mixed number, it would be negative 1 and 1/7. Of course, like I say, at this point you can just stop and say that B equals negative 12 over 14, since that is a number, a fraction. Here I got C divided by negative 10. So whenever I'm dividing, I want to do the opposite of that and multiply. So I'm going to multiply by negative 10 on both sides. So on my left side I get C, and on the other side I have to multiply negative 3 times 10. Here you have to know your rules for multiplication. If I'm multiplying two negatives, my answer is going to be positive. So negative 3 times negative 10 is going to be a positive 30. And this one I have 10 plus x plus 10, so I'm going to take away 10. And I end up with x equals 5. And that's pretty much solving for one-step equations. Have a few more problems. You can pause this and try to do the problems, and then press play, and I'll show you the answer. So go ahead and try to solve, and I'll just show you the answer. So here are the answers. Let me just go through number 4. So I'm going to erase number 4 and do it. I have A divided by 6. So I'm going to multiply by 6. If I multiply by 6, these two numbers cancel out and I get just A on this side. And then I multiply by 6 on the other side. So here I have one negative times a positive, so my answer is going to be negative 48. And on number 14, I got 2 over 14, and then I divided the top number here by 2 and the bottom number by 2, and you get 1 over 7.